Far away in the vastness of space, there was a galaxy ruled by an arrogant and powerful alien empire. These aliens saw themselves as superior to all other beings. They had advanced technology, unmatched strength, and a cruel sense of humor. One day, their leaders came up with a plan that they thought would be very funny. It was not a kind or thoughtful plan. It was a prank, meant to mock someone weaker than them. The target of this prank was Yun-Su, the crown princess of their empire. She was young, graceful, and intelligent, but she carried a heavy burden. Many years ago, she had fallen ill with a mysterious disease. The illness had left her unable to have children, which was seen as a great shame in her society. Her people whispered behind her back, calling her useless. Even her own family treated her coldly, as if she were no longer important. One day, while sitting alone in her chambers, Yun-Su received a message from the Imperial Council. They summoned her to appear before them immediately. When she arrived, they told her about their decision. "We are sending you on a mission," they said with smirks on their faces. "A human world called Earth has caught our attention. We want you to go there and observe these primitive creatures." Yun-Su felt confused. Why would they send her, of all people, on such a task? Before she could ask questions, they explained further. "Do not worry, this is just for fun. You cannot give us heirs anyway, so what harm can come from it? Besides, humans are simple-minded fools. Nothing interesting will happen." Without giving her time to protest, the council sent Yun-Su to Earth. In the blink of an eye, she found herself standing in a strange place. Gone were the gleaming towers of her home planet. Instead, she stood in the middle of a bustling street in Seoul, South Korea. Cars honked loudly, neon signs flashed above her head, and crowds of people walked past without noticing her at first. At first glance, Yun-Su looked almost human. She had long black hair, delicate features, and pale skin. But upon closer inspection, there were differences. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light, and her eyes glowed softly, like stars trapped inside glass. She wore a flowing white dress that seemed out of place among the modern cityscape. People began to stare at her. Some pointed and laughed, thinking she was part of a performance or costume event. Others whispered nervously, unsure of what to make of her unusual appearance. Yun-Su tried to speak, but her words came out in a language no one understood. Panic started to rise in her chest. Where was she? What was she supposed to do? Just then, a man approached her. His name was Ji Hwan, and he worked as a mechanic in a small workshop nearby. Ji Hwan was in his early 30s with short dark hair and a warm smile. He had been walking home after finishing work when he noticed Yun-Su standing lost in the crowd. Something about her caught his attention. Perhaps it was the sadness in her glowing eyes or the way she clutched her arms tightly around herself as if trying to shield herself from the world. "Are you okay?" Ji Hwan asked gently. Of course, Yun-Su didn't understand him, but his tone made her feel less afraid. She shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. Without hesitation, Ji Hwan held out his hand. "Come with me," he said, gesturing toward his workshop. Though hesitant, Yun-Su followed him. Ji Hwan led her to a cozy little garage filled with tools, spare parts, and the faint smell of oil. He offered her a chair and brought her a cup of water. As she sipped it cautiously, he studied her closely. Her strange glow and ethereal beauty fascinated him. But more than that, he sensed her vulnerability. Over the next few days, Ji Hwan did everything he could to help Yun-Su adjust to her new surroundings. He taught her basic Korean phrases, showed her how to use utensils, and even let her try cooking instant noodles. At first, she struggled with everything, often making mistakes that made Ji Hwan chuckle. But slowly, she started learning. Ji Hwan also introduced her to the wonders of Earth. He took her for walks in the park, where she marveled at the trees and flowers. He showed her how to ride a bicycle, though she wobbled dangerously at first. And every evening, they sat together in his workshop, talking, or rather, trying to talk. Despite the language barrier, they found ways to communicate through gestures, drawings, and laughter. As time passed, Yunsu began to feel safe for the first time in years. On her home planet, she had always been treated as a failure, someone unworthy of love or respect. But Ji-hwan treated her differently. He listened to her, helped her, and never judged her. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Meanwhile, rumors about Yunsu spread throughout the neighborhood. Some people claimed she was a ghost or a spirit. Others believed she was an angel who had descended from heaven. A few even accused Ji-hwan of using magic to bring her into his life. While most reactions were harmless, some locals grew suspicious and fearful of her presence. Despite the gossip, Ji-hwan remained steadfast in protecting Yunsu. He assured her that she was safe with him and promised to keep her hidden if necessary. Little did either of them know, however, that something extraordinary was happening within Yunsu's body. Unbeknownst to both of them, Earth's environment was having a profound effect on her. The air, the food, and even the emotions she experienced around Ji-hwan were triggering changes deep inside her. Her supposed sterility, once thought permanent, was beginning to reverse itself. Though neither Yunsu nor Ji-hwan realized it yet, their lives were about to change forever. And so, by what started as a cruel joke by an arrogant alien empire, became the beginning of a story far greater than anyone could have imagined. Yunsu's days on Earth began to take on a rhythm she had never known before. Every morning, Ji-hwan would wake up early and head to his workshop. Yunsu, curious about everything around her, followed him like a shadow. At first, she watched silently as he fixed cars, repaired machines, and tinkered with tools. But soon, she started asking questions. Simple ones at first, like what each tool was called or how something worked. Ji-hwan patiently answered her using gestures and drawings when words failed. One day, while Ji-hwan was teaching her how to use a wrench, Yunsu accidentally dropped it. The loud clang startled her, and she flinched. Ji-hwan laughed gently, so picking up the tool and handing it back to her. "It's okay," he said, smiling. "You'll get better." His kindness made her feel less afraid of making mistakes. Slowly but surely, she learned. Cooking became another area where Yunsu found joy. Ji-hwan introduced her to instant ramyun, a cheap and easy meal that was a staple in his life. He showed her how to boil water, add seasoning, and stir the noodles until they were soft and ready to eat. At first, Yunsu struggled with the concept of boiling water. It seemed so simple to Ji-hwan, but for someone who had never cooked before, it was a challenge. Yet once she got the hang of it, she beamed with pride every time she prepared a meal. Ji-hwan also taught her about other foods, like kimchi, rice cakes, and grilled meat. Yunsu loved trying new flavors, and especially the spicy kick of gochujang sauce. She even started experimenting with recipes, combining ingredients in ways that surprised Ji-hwan. Sometimes the results were delicious, other times they were hilariously bad. Either way, they both laughed together, and those moments brought them closer. But it wasn't just cooking and fixing things that bonded them. Ji-hwan shared stories about his childhood, growing up in Seoul, losing his parents at a young age, and learning to survive on his own. In return, Yunsu tried to explain bits of her alien world, though much of it was hard to put into words. She described glowing cities floating in the sky, creatures with wings like ribbons, and music that resonated directly in the soul. Ji-hwan listened intently, imagining these wonders through her eyes. Through their conversations, Ji-hwan began to understand that Yunsu was more than just an unusual visitor. She was intelligent, resourceful, and deeply compassionate. He admired how quickly she adapted to Earth despite being so far from home. And yet, there was a sadness in her too, a longing for acceptance and belonging that tugged at his heart. One evening, as they sat together in the workshop, Ji-hwan noticed something strange. Yun-soo reached out and touched a small cut on his hand. It was a minor injury he had gotten earlier while working, nothing serious. But as her fingers brushed against his skin, the wound began to heal right before his eyes. Startled, Ji-hwan pulled his hand back. What did you just do?" he asked, staring at her. Yun-soo looked equally surprised. She hadn't meant to do anything special. She had simply wanted to comfort him. When she realized what had happened, she tried to explain, pointing at her hands and then at his now-healed skin. Ji-hwan didn't fully understand, but he could see the wonder in her expression. "You're amazing," he murmured, shaking his head in disbelief. From that moment on, he began to realize that Eun-soo wasn't just different. She was extraordinary. As weeks turned into months, rumors about Eun-soo continued to spread throughout the neighborhood. Some people whispered that she was a supernatural being sent to bless or curse the town. Others claimed she was part of an alien invasion, waiting for reinforcements to arrive. A few brave souls approached Ji-hwan directly, demanding answers. "Why is she staying with you?" one man asked suspiciously. "What does she want?" "She's just someone who needs help," Ji-hwan replied firmly. "She hasn't done anything wrong." Despite his reassurances, not everyone believed him. One night, a group of men gathered outside the workshop, shouting insults and banging on the door. Yun-soo huddled inside, frightened by the noise. Ji-hwan stood Protect 5 idly in front of her, refusing to let anyone harm her. "Leave her alone," he shouted. "If you have a problem, take it up with me." The confrontation ended when a neighbor intervened, scolding the angry mob for causing trouble. Still, the incident left a mark on both Ji-hwan and Yun-soo. They realized that living quietly and unnoticed was no longer an option. In the days that followed, Ji-hwan decided to teach Yun-soo how to defend herself. He showed her basic self-defense moves, explaining how to block punches or escape from grabs. And though Yun-soo was hesitant at first, she had never been violent in her life. She understood the importance of protecting herself. To Ji-hwan's surprise, she picked up the techniques quickly, moving with a grace and precision that seemed almost unnatural. Their bond deepened further during this time. Ji-hwan admired Eun-soo's determination and resilience, while Eun-soo cherished his unwavering support and loyalty. Together, they faced challenges neither could have overcome alone. Unbeknownst to them, however, something incredible was happening inside Yun-soo's body. The air, food, and emotions she experienced on Earth were triggering changes at a cellular level. Her supposed sterility, once thought irreversible, was slowly reversing itself. Though neither Yun-soo nor Ji-hwan realized it yet, their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't imagine. As autumn gave way to winter, snow began to fall over Seoul, blanketing the city in white. Ji-hwan and Yun-soo spent quiet evenings together, watching the flakes drift past the window. They talked about the future, not knowing exactly what lay ahead, but feeling hopeful nonetheless. For the first time in her life, Yun-soo dared to dream of happiness. And Ji-hwan, for all his doubts and fears, found himself believing in possibilities he had long given up on. Winter gave way to spring, and life in Seoul seemed to bloom alongside the cherry blossoms. Ji-hwan and Yun-soo continued their quiet routine, finding comfort in each other's company. But one morning, everything changed. Yun-soo woke up feeling strange. Her body felt heavier than usual, and a wave of nausea hit her as soon as she stood. At first, she thought it was just fatigue or perhaps something she had eaten the night before. But over the next few days, the symptoms persisted. She grew tired more easily, her appetite shifted, and her emotions swung wildly from joy to tears without warning. Concerned, Ji-hwan urged her to see a doctor. "You're not well," he said gently. "We need to figure out what's wrong." Yun-soo hesitated. She didn't know how doctors worked on Earth. and she worried they wouldn't understand her unique biology. Still, Ji Huan insisted. He promised to stay by her side and help explain things if needed. Reluctantly, she agreed. At the clinic, the doctor ran several tests, asking questions about Yunsu's medical history. Ji Huan did his best to translate, although many of Yunsu's answers were vague since she couldn't fully describe her alien physiology. The doctor frowned, puzzled by the results. Finally, after hours of waiting, he called Ji Huan aside. "I don't know how to say this," the doctor began cautiously. "But she's pregnant." Ji Huan stared at him, stunned. "That's impossible," he stammered. She told me she couldn't have children." The doctor shrugged. "Well, according to the tests, she is. Unless there's something unusual about her that I'm missing." His voice trailed off, leaving the implication hanging in the air. When Ji Huan returned to Yunsu, he found her sitting quietly, staring out the window. Her expression was unreadable, but her hands trembled slightly. He sat beside her and took her hand. "The doctor says you're going to have a baby," he said softly. Yunsu's eyes widened in shock. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then tears spilled down her cheeks. "It's not possible," she whispered. I was told I could never." Ji Huan held her close, unsure of what else to do. "Maybe something here on Earth changed you," he suggested. "Maybe being around humans, or even being with me, did something to your body." Yunsu shook her head, overwhelmed. She didn't know whether to feel happy, scared, or angry. All she knew was that her life, and Ji Huan's, was about to change forever. Over the following weeks, Yunsu and Ji Huan tried to make sense of what was happening. They visited libraries and searched online for information about alien human pregnancies, but found nothing useful. Yunsu also spent hours thinking about her own biology, trying to piece together how this miracle might have occurred. One evening, as they sat together in the workshop, Yunsu suddenly gasped. "I think I know why," she said, her voice trembling. Ji Huan looked at her, surprised. "Why what?" "Why I'm like this now," she explained. "Back home, they told me my illness made me sterile. But maybe it wasn't true. Maybe the sickness only blocked my ability to have children because of where I lived. Here, on Earth, everything is different. The air, the food, the energy. Maybe those things healed me." Ji Huan nodded slowly. "That makes sense," he said. "Earth has a way of surprising people." Despite her growing understanding, Yunsu still struggled with fear and doubt. What would happen when others found out? Would the aliens who sent her here come looking for her? And most importantly, why would the child be safe? Her worries deepened when strange things began to occur. One night, while walking home from the market, Ji Huan noticed a black car parked across the street. Its windows were tinted and no one got out. Another time, Yunsu caught sight of a man in a dark suit, watching her from afar. Both incidents left them uneasy, but neither wanted to jump to conclusions. Their fears were confirmed a few days later when a group of strangers arrived at Ji Huan's workshop. They wore sleek uniforms and carried devices that glowed faintly. Their leader stepped forward, addressing Yunsu in her native language. "Princess Yunsu," he said coldly, "you've been gone too long. It's time to return." Yunsu froze, her heart pounding. Ji Huan stepped in front of her protectively. "Who are you?" he demanded. "We are envoys of the Empire," the man replied, ignoring Ji Huan. "Our orders are clear. The princess must come with us immediately." "No," Ji Huan said firmly. "She's staying here." The envoy smirked. "You misunderstand. This isn't a request." Before anyone could react, the men raised their glowing devices, which emitted a low hum. Yunsu grabbed Ji Huan's arm and pulled him back. "Don't fight them," she whispered urgently. "They'll hurt you." But Ji Huan refused to back down. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me," he said, standing tall despite his fear. For a moment, tension hung thick in the air. Then the leader spoke again. "Very well. We will return with greater force. Be warned, your defiance will not go unpunished." With that, the envoys turned and left, vanishing into the night. Once they were gone, Yunsu collapsed onto the floor, shaking uncontrollably. Ji-hwan knelt beside her, holding her tightly. "It's okay," he murmured. "I won't let them take you." But Yunsu knew better. The empire was powerful, and Ji-hwan was just one man. If they truly wanted her back, there was little either of them could do to stop them. In the days that followed, Ji-hwan reached out to trusted friends and neighbors for help. Together, they devised a plan to keep Eun-soo hidden. She moved from place to place, staying with different families who sympathized with her plight. Meanwhile, Ji-hwan gathered supplies and prepared for the worst. Despite the danger, Eun-soo remained hopeful. She believed in Ji-hwan's determination and in the kindness of the people who had taken her in. More than anything, she clung to the thought of her unborn child, a symbol of love and resilience in the face of adversity. As spring turned to summer, the threat loomed ever closer. Yet amid the fear and uncertainty, Eun-soo and Ji-hwan found strength in each other. Together they vowed to protect their family, no matter the cost. Little did they know their courage would soon inspire an entire planet. The calm before the storm didn't last long. One evening, as Ji-hwan and Eun-soo sat together in a small safe house on the outskirts of Seoul, the sky lit up with an eerie glow. A massive alien warship descended silently above the city, its shadow stretching across rooftops like a dark omen. Panic erupted instantly. Sirens wailed, people screamed, and streets emptied as everyone scrambled for shelter. Eun-soo stared at the ship through the window, on her heart pounding. She had seen vessels like this countless times on her home planet, but never had they filled her with such dread. "They've come for me," she whispered, clutching her stomach protectively. Ji-hwan stood beside her, his jaw clenched. "Not if I have anything to say about it." Before either of them could react, a loudspeaker voice boomed across the city. It spoke in perfect Korean, cold and mechanical. "Attention, humans! We are here to retrieve our princess, Eun-soo. Hand her over immediately, or face annihilation. You have 1 hour." The message repeated 3 times before cutting off. Silence followed, broken only by distant cries and the hum of the hovering warship. Ji-hwan turned to Eun-soo, his expression grim but determined. "We're not giving up without a fight." Eun-soo shook her head. "You can't win against them. They'll destroy you all." "We won't know unless we try," Ji-hwan replied firmly. He grabbed his phone and began making calls, rallying the network of friends and allies who had been helping them hide. Within minutes, plans were set into motion. Uniting humanity word spread quickly among those who knew about Eun-soo's situation. Scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens came together, pooling their resources and knowledge. Some worked on modifying existing technology, drones, missiles, and communication systems to create makeshift weapons capable of defending Earth. Others focused on gathering intelligence about the alien ship, studying its movements and weaknesses. At the center of it all was Ji-hwan, coordinating efforts from a makeshift command center in an abandoned warehouse. He wasn't a soldier or a leader by nature, but desperation brought out strengths he never knew he had. With every decision he made, he thought of Eun-soo and their unborn child. Eun-soo, meanwhile, refused to sit idly by. Though her pregnancy left her physically weaker, she used her alien abilities to aid the resistance. Her glowing eyes could detect energy patterns invisible to humans, allowing her to identify weak points in the enemy's defenses. She also shared fragments of her knowledge about alien technology, which proved invaluable in developing countermeasures. One breakthrough came when a team of engineers managed to reverse-engineer one of Yunsu's healing abilities. By analyzing the faint energy fields around her hands, they created devices that could temporarily disable alien machinery. These pulse emitters became key tools in humanity's arsenal. Despite the progress, her time was running out. The alien envoy broadcast another warning, an ultimatum demanding Yunsu's surrender within 30 minutes. When no response came, the warship fired a warning shot, obliterating a nearby mountain peak in a blinding flash of light. The message was clear. Earth would pay dearly for defiance. The battle begins. As the final minutes ticked away, Ji-hwan gave the order to launch their defense plan. Drones equipped with pulse emitters swarmed toward the warship, targeting its engines and weapon systems. At the same time, teams on the ground deployed modified missiles designed to penetrate the ship's shields. To everyone's surprise, the initial assault worked. Several drones successfully disabled parts of the ship's outer hull, causing explosions that lit up the night sky. Cheers erupted from the resistance members watching below. For the first time, hope flickered in their hearts. But the aliens weren't so easily defeated. Retaliatory beams of energy rained down on the city, destroying buildings and scattering the drone fleet. The warship's sheer size and power overwhelmed even the most advanced human technology. As casualties mounted, fear threatened to consume the defenders. In the chaos, Yunsu stepped forward. Ignoring Ji-hwan's protests, she walked onto the battlefield, her glowing form visible even from afar. Raising her hands, she unleashed a surge of energy that rippled outward, disrupting the warship's targeting systems. The attack stunned the aliens momentarily, giving the humans a chance to regroup. Ji-hwan ran to her side, pulling her back to safety. "What are you doing? Yeah, you'll get yourself killed." "I'm doing what I have to," Yunsu said, her voice steady despite her trembling body. "This is my fight too." Inspired by her bravery, the resistance fought harder than ever. Ordinary citizens joined the battle, using whatever tools they had to fend off the invaders. Cars became barricades, fireworks served as distractions, and sheer determination fueled their efforts. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. A child is born. Amid the fighting, Yunsu felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. She gasped, doubling over as contractions hit her unexpectedly. Ji-hwan noticed immediately and helped her to a nearby shelter. "It's too soon," Yunsu cried, tears streaming down her face. "The baby isn't ready." "We'll get through this," Ji-hwan reassured her, holding her hand tightly. "You just breathe." With Ji-hwan by her side, Yunsu endured hours of labor as the battle raged outside. Finally, with a cry that echoed through the shelter, a baby boy was born. Ji-hwan wrapped him in a blanket, marveling at the tiny miracle in his arms. "He's beautiful," Yunsu whispered, exhausted but smiling. When they looked closer, they realized the child was unlike any human infant. His skin shimmered faintly, like Yunsu's, and his eyes glowed softly, shifting colors as he blinked. More astonishingly, he emitted a gentle warmth that seemed to soothe everyone around him. "This is our son," Ji-hwan said, his voice choked with emotion. "Our hope." A turning point. News of the baby's birth spread quickly among the resistance fighters. To them, the child represented unity, a symbol of two species coming together to defy oppression. And inspired by his presence, the humans launched a final, desperate assault on the warship. Using data gathered during the earlier attacks, Yunsu pinpointed the ship's core reactor. If they could disable it, the entire vessel would collapse. Ji-hwan led a team of volunteers in a risky mission to plant explosives near the reactor, while Yunsu stayed behind to protect the baby. The mission succeeded. As the reactor exploded, the warship shuddered violently before breaking apart in a spectacular display of light and fire. The remaining alien forces retreated, fleeing back into space. When the dust settled, cheers erupted across Seoul. Against all odds, humanity had won. Exhausted but triumphant, Ji-hwan returned to Yun-su and their newborn son. Together they stood amidst the ruins of the city, gazing at the dawn breaking over the horizon. Though much work lay ahead, they knew they had taken the first step toward a brighter future, one built on love, courage, and unity. The warship's destruction marked the end of the alien threat, but it was only the beginning of a new chapter for Earth. In the days that followed, people emerged from their shelters, blinking in the sunlight as if waking from a nightmare. The streets of Seoul were battered and scarred. Yet there was an undeniable sense of triumph in the air. Strangers embraced, sharing stories of survival and sacrifice. For the first time in what felt like forever, hope burned brightly in their hearts. Yun-su and Ji-hwan stood at the center of it all, holding their newborn son between them. Word had spread quickly about the child, Min-jun, they named him, a miracle born from love and resilience. His presence inspired awe among those who saw him, not just because of his glowing skin or shifting eyes, but because he symbolized the unity of two worlds. To humans, Min-jun represented proof that even the smallest acts of kindness could change the course of history. But Yun-su knew the battle wasn't truly over. Though the aliens had retreated, they would not forget this defeat. She feared retaliation, knowing her people were proud and vengeful. Still, she refused to let fear dictate her life any longer. If Earth could stand together against overwhelming odds once, it could do so again. A new family. In the weeks after the battle, Ji-hwan worked tirelessly to rebuild both his workshop and the community around him. Neighbors came together to repair damaged homes, clear debris from the streets, and support one another through grief and loss. Yun-su joined them whenever she could, using her unique abilities to help heal injuries and calm frightened children. Her presence brought comfort to many, earning her a place in their hearts. For Ji-hwan, life with Yun-su and Min-jun felt surreal yet deeply fulfilling. Every morning he woke up to the sight of Yun-su cradling their son, her glowing form illuminated by the soft light of dawn. He marveled at how far they had come, from strangers thrown together by circumstance to a family bound by love and shared struggle. Min-jun grew quickly, surpassing the development of ordinary human babies. By the time he was 3 months old, he could crawl, babble incoherent sounds, and even mimic simple gestures. But what amazed everyone most was his ability to connect with others. When Min-jun smiled, people felt warmth spreading through their chests, as though his joy was contagious. Scientists studied him carefully, trying to understand the source of his powers, but no one dared interfere too much. To everyone, Min-jun was sacred, a bridge between species and a beacon of hope for the future. Rebuilding and reflection. As the city healed, humanity began to dream bigger. The victory over the alien empire sparked a wave of innovation and collaboration. Engineers and scientists worked side by side, combining human ingenuity with insights gleaned from Yun-su's knowledge of alien technology. Together, they developed advanced tools and systems that improved daily life and prepared Earth for future challenges. Schools introduced lessons on interstellar diplomacy and cultural exchange, and teaching children about the importance of understanding and respecting differences. Art murals depicting the battle against the aliens appeared across Seoul, celebrating courage and unity. Even politicians spoke of forging alliances with other civilizations, should they ever encounter them again. Yun-su watched these changes with pride, though she remained humble. She never sought recognition or fame. Instead, she focused on raising Min-jun and supporting Ji-hwan. Yet, her role in Earth's victory couldn't be ignored. People often stopped her on the street to thank her, calling her a hero. At first, she felt uncomfortable with the attention, but over time, she accepted it as part of her journey. Ji-hwan, meanwhile, became a symbol of leadership, not because he craved power, but because he embodied the values of compassion and determination. He traveled across South Korea, speaking at rallies and conferences about the importance of standing together in the face of adversity. His speeches resonated deeply, reminding people of the strength they had shown during the invasion. Facing the future. Despite the progress, shadows lingered on the horizon. One evening, as Ji-hwan and Yoon-soo sat outside their home watching the stars, a familiar hum filled the air. A small alien probe descended silently, hovering above them. Its surface shimmered with the same energy patterns as the warship that had attacked Earth. Ji-hwan tensed, stepping protectively in front of Yoon-soo and Min-jun. "What do you want?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the fear rising in his chest. And the probe emitted a series of clicks and tones before projecting an image into the air. It showed the Imperial Council of Yoon-soo's home planet, their faces grim. One of them spoke directly to her in her native language. "Princess Yoon-soo," the voice said coldly, "your actions have shamed our empire. You will return immediately to face judgment." Yoon-soo stepped forward, meeting the hologram's gaze without flinching. "I'm not going back," she replied firmly. "This is my home now. These are my people." The council members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Then one of them nodded slightly. "Very well, but know this. Your betrayal will not go unpunished. We will remember." With that, the projection vanished, and the probe ascended back into space. Silence fell as the hum faded away. Ji-hwan turned to Yoon-soo, a concern etched on his face. "Do you think they'll come back?" "They might," Yoon-soo admitted, "but we're ready now. We've proven we can fight, and next time we'll be stronger." A legacy of hope. Years passed, and Earth continued to flourish. Humanity expanded its reach, exploring nearby planets and establishing contact with peaceful alien civilizations. Yoon-soo played a key role in these efforts, serving as an ambassador between worlds. Her wisdom and empathy bridged gaps that once seemed impossible to cross. Min-jun grew into a remarkable child, beloved by all who met him. His powers developed further, allowing him to communicate telepathically and manipulate energy fields. Yet despite his extraordinary abilities, he remained kind and curious, always eager to learn and help others. Ji-hwan, now older but still full of spirit, I looked back on their journey with gratitude. He had started as a simple mechanic, content to live quietly and unnoticed, but life had given him something greater, a purpose, a family, and a legacy that would endure for generations. One night, as they sat together under a sky filled with stars, Yoon-soo leaned her head on Ji-hwan's shoulder. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if they hadn't sent me here?" she asked softly. Ji-hwan smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "I think about it sometimes, but I don't regret anything. You're here now, and so is Min-jun. That's all that matters." Yoon-soo nodded, her heart swelling with love. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them together, as a family, as survivors, and as symbols of hope for a united future. And so, their story became legend, a tale of love overcoming prejudice, of courage defeating fear, and of two worlds coming together to create something beautiful.